Danny's a very present father.
Did you have a present father when you were younger?
No.
What do you think is the hardest part of being a parent?
As you parent them, you have to re-parent yourself. There are things that, of course, you get from your parents, but when it comes to doing the same to them, you stop and think, well, actually, they did it to me, but it's not okay.
A few times I was very rough with them, and I'd see my mom in the way I was acting and treating my children.
I didn't want to be left alone with this baby because it was a huge thing to me. I didn't know how to change her diapers. I didn't know. Nothing was very natural to me when she was born. And he, not long before Maya, he had a younger sister. So he knew how to do the nappies. He was more comfortable handling this small little baby. And I think he had the space to be a dad also because it's like your child.
When the conversations around fatherhood is being had, it's usually had from the standpoint of men. The problems that affect men discussed with men, amongst men, and for men only, which is a valid conversation to have. However, fatherhood is not done in a silo. It is done with mothers, with sons, with daughters, with sisters, with parents, with grandparents. And so today on the podcast, we are having a revisit of an earlier conversation we had in last season's episode 4, I think, and where I had my brother come in and discuss some of the challenges he faced as a father raising a specialist child. But today, we have Mariana, his wife, joining us on the podcast. It's a heavy request to pull both of you guys at the same time, so again, I don't take it for granted. Thank you for making the trip down. So first things first, Mariana, I want to ask you a question. I heard you go on the flights and traveled across the world when you were almost full term.
Maya was already, 3 years old when we went to Colombia?
Yeah, around.
Yeah, we already had Maya, we had Mateo, and while they knew their grandparents from my side, they hadn't met Donnie's family yet, and we received the tickets as a gift.
No, my dad bought the tickets in advance, maybe a year
Oh, okay.
in advance. So
Yeah. I think a few months after the tickets, then we found out we were pregnant again. But either way, it's easier to travel with 2 kids than 3, right? So we thought, no, let's still do it.
Even if I would let my wife fly at that time, most airlines wouldn't let it happen. I'm surprised that they actually let you fly.
I think we try also to hide it a little bit, right? And then I think Maddie used like a huge jacket that had a little bit, Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that big, I guess.
Second thing I actually wanted to find out was when he said, because our conversation was mainly around Leo, and then he said the first thing that happened was you guys didn't know that Leo had issues when he was in uterus. And then he also said the first thing the nurse told you guys when you got to the hospital was you could have aborted the baby.
Yeah.
If you had known that Leo had issues, would you have agreed to abort the baby prior?
I don't think so. Because because of other things in the past, I don't think I would have. But knowing how I am, obviously God knowing also how I am, I would not have a peaceful pregnancy. I would be very anxious, very worried. I wouldn't have had the peaceful months I had with Leo. Probably not have the peaceful birth we had. It was the best birth out of all the 3 kids. Yeah, and I don't think it would have happened had I known.
I also like sorry to cut you off, the UK people that live in the UK knows this. They do like these checkups earlier, and they actually say, okay, these are the difficulties that the baby is gonna have, and they act somehow they persuade you, they recommend you
Yes, I think they would have tried
this.
to.
And Mariana didn't want to know anything, you know, for some reason. I think God's, you know, God's will.
Also, the check was at 20 weeks. So if you think at 20 weeks, we have a friend that was born at 22 weeks. So at 20 weeks, in my mind, it was also no, whatever. If he has it or not, there is nothing I will do about it. So I would rather not know.
Danny told me about his journey as a father. From your standpoint, can you describe Danny as a father?
Danny's a very present father. It's it's also good that he is working from home, which I mean the Leo got a very different perspective of him as a dad than Maya and Mateo, for example, because he had to work in an office. He was out all day. They would only see him weekends and then at night. Um, but I think he's very present, and I think he does try his best with what he has. Yeah.
Is she saying the truth completely, or is she being nice to you?
Both. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I'm not a perfect has been or a perfect dad, but I do try my best to be present, and um there are things that we are working as a family. So that she's being nice.
She said you're a present father. Did you have a present father when you were younger?
Oh.
So how were you able to become a different version of a father than what you had growing up?
I think the lackness of having this present father made you makes you realize that you want to be a present father. Or you can choose the other size, like automatically I will be this father that was not present. Um, I could have that excuse, you know, and say, well, I'm not a perfect father. I'm not this, you know, present father because I didn't have a father. Um, but I think you try to what you didn't have, you want to try to, you know.
Give. How's your relationship with your father?
I had a very present father.
So that's the opposite of the spirit.
Yeah. So I think with the kids, we are a team, right? And since Maya was born, her birth was very traumatic, and I think I was very I didn't want to be left alone with this baby because it was a huge thing to me. I didn't know how to change her diapers. I didn't know, nothing was very natural to me when she was born. And he, not long before Maya, he had a younger sister. So he knew how to do the nappies. He was more comfortable handling this small little baby. Um, and I think he had the space to be a dad also because it's like your child. Here she is. Um, like an example, I had a friend that she said, no, because I do everything because if I ask my husband to give him a bath, I don't think he's doing it right. So I just go and I do it. And I think I don't have that. We might complain, we might disagree about things, but if we can both do it, we both have to be there.
You said something earlier that nothing about Maya's birth came naturally to you. I don't think it comes naturally to anyone.
I don't know. I see Maya. Maya is able to see a baby crying. She knows what to do. She's 10 years old. I think some people it's more natural. They're more maternal or fatherly. Um, I don't know. I think the time that Maya came into our lives, I was very focused on finishing university, and it was this adrenaline of getting things done. And I was very happy she was arriving, but I wasn't focused on reading birthing books or getting ready, getting her room ready. I had to be focusing on other things. And I think when she was born, and it was so traumatic, something that I thought would come very naturally, it scared me off, like from the start. Um, Obviously, over time, you see, okay, you learn.
There's this thing they called, what's the word again? A postpartum depression.
I
Did you ever have that?
I didn't.
When Maya was born, it was very hard birth, and she went through a lot. She almost died. Um, we stayed in the hospital for, I think, more than a week.
After
No, the before. Because she was dilating 1 centimeter per day, and the woman needs to be 9 centimeters or 10 centimeters. And normally this process is maybe 2, 3 hours or more, a few hours more. But for her, it was very tough. So when Maya was born, okay, like let this woman heal and let me try help with what I can. Um, but I think her as a mother, she's always been amazing, with everything, um, especially with Leo. She went through a lot. We had a long history of things that pass, and she, um, she's been great.
what do you think is the hardest part of being a parent?
Seeing yourself in the mirror or seeing your parents, um, in the way you're treating your child. Um, so there are a few things that I realize negative and positive. But I think I took more of the negative things, especially with Maya, with our first daughter, first child. Um, I was being very aggressive, and I still need to work, a few things on seeing my daughter more with grace. Um, that each child has their time to develop. So I think a few times I was very rough with them, and I see my mom um, in the way I was acting and treating my children. So that one is tough. Um,
I think maybe a little similar to Donnie, but as you parent them, you have to reparent yourself. Um, there are things that, of course, you get from your parents, but when it comes to doing the same to them, you stop and think, well, actually, they did it to me, but it's not okay. That's not right. Um, And then in that process, you give your parents more grace because they did what they could. You try to give yourself grace because you do see your mistakes. And I think guilt doesn't let you get better. It makes you stuck. But if you see your mistakes and then you see how you can change it, or um, and you have to sort of reparent yourself, because of course you don't have your parent, you don't need your parents to change or do that all over again, but there are things that you tell the kids that you're actually also telling yourself.
Someone said, dear parents, heal from your childhood trauma so your kids don't have to go to therapy because they had you as a parent.
Yeah.
The hard part for me is that the only person that can call out my bullshit is my wife, right? And because she's also a parent, she has her flaws. as a parent as well. So when she says, "Yo, babe, you raised your voice at Zain or Asha," my first response is to fire back. How about you when you do XYZ? You know? So instead of taking the time to hear what she said in terms as a feedback, it usually comes to me as though she's attacking me. So over time, what I think we've been able to do is that we don't do that in front of the kids. Because if I'm very telling Zayn, stop this, don't do that, and then she tells me that in front of them, I feel like she's trying to diminish my authority in front of their eyes. So, but if she does that, maybe later on, I'm like, okay, maybe I heard. For example, last night I came back tired. Zion wanted to come drink her tea on my workstation, and I had hard drives, computers, cameras on the table. I was like, move, 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 move. She now looked at me, and I was like, okay, baby, I'm sorry. So we as couples need to parent each other. That's just basically what I'm saying. I asked Danny what are some of the things you guys are doing to make sure he integrates into society better in the future. So, do you want to drop it there?
But one in the house that he's treated the same. He's integrated first within our household. And on technical side, he was going to start doing therapy for speech. He goes to school, a mainstream school, so that he sees children who are typical children and how they act, because he learns a lot from repetition. But we are also learning as he grows. There are new things that need to be put in place that we notice.
So how's the Italian system helping?
He actually, just this week we got a confirmation that he will start doing therapy. But we've been waiting for around a year on a waiting list for him to be called to start doing these therapies. In the UK, it didn't work. He was in place. He had speech and language, physio, but the physio was basically non-existent. The speech was also very, can he eat? Yes, he can eat, and it didn't go further than that. So it's a lot of the things we do with Leo. It's things that I see from Brazil. It's a country where abortion is not legal, where Down syndrome is not the end of the world. So there are many, many therapies in place. And I follow a lot of people. So it's us seeing how we can help at home. A lot of it is mostly us, to be honest, because therapies, as of now, he doesn't have any.
It's it's strange that you would think that the UK. I think that Daniel and Ian talk about it. You think the UK, because it's a first world city, would have better facilities. That apparently you're getting most of your help from Brazil.
I think it's also about the people, the professionals are there. Okay, I think people in Brazil or here, most of them they're very genuine. They love what they do, and they see the patient as not like, okay, another client, in and out. They actually care about you know the people they're treating. Yeah, and also I don't want to generalize that UK British people are like this, but our experience in London, because it's such a diverse city and everything is going faster and moving, and maybe it's this mentality that in and out and fast and okay, next, next, next.
Yesterday, I do you know Jesse? So I was at the studio yesterday to film because he couldn't come all the way this way because he has some do school runs as well. So one of the things he was saying was he never had a father present. So his mom celebrates Father's Day and Mother's Day because it has always been her alone. And he said last year he went for a conference and he met a guy, an older friend of his, who just put his hand on his shoulder. I'm like, well done, my man. And then he said he felt very emotional. He almost cried. That he's 36 years old and he's never had a father tell him, well done.
Right. He seems a great father.
Yeah, that's that. So I'm saying that to go back to what we talked about earlier, because you and I are in the same boat, having fathers available. So how has that been a point of conflict or a point of cooperation?
Sometimes it has been a point of conflict where, because for me, I actually remember my dad doing a few more things than my mom. Um, and it has been a point of conflict where it's like, yeah, but my dad did this, so you should do it too. Um, you can do her hair, or I don't know, little things, but I think overall he it's not that I want him to be my dad. He is his own version of a parent. And you need time being a parent to develop that the same way that a mom needs some time to be able to develop her motherhood. Um, and I think, I don't know if you feel this is correct, but for example, my dad, when Maya was born, I didn't have any depression, or it was a good time, because when I told my dad that I was pregnant, he was very angry, told me something that got me very angry, and then we didn't speak for 8 months. Um, and when I was in the hospital, my mom was there and she called my dad because she thought I was going to die. So she thought, I think he should see her before anything happens. So he was living in India at the time, got on the first flight he could, went to see us at the hospital. Um, we made up. He helped with Maya. He helped cooking. My mom had to go back to work, so he was actually the one who stayed and was helping cook and clean as Donnie had to go back to work. And so that really helped. And I think when you see someone, when you see, I don't know, maybe Donnie, by seeing me talking to my dad every day or calling, which I think at the beginning of our relationship, I didn't see him calling his parents that often. But I think because they got divorced when I was 8, and we always lived in different countries, it was very normal for me to call, to text, to any way that we can communicate, since we're not physically there. I feel you actually communicate even more when you're not physically with the person. Um, so I don't know, maybe by seeing that, it helped to change a little, or for Danny to also see, even if his dad wasn't calling, then he started calling. And then that was reciprocated, and now his dad calls more often. Or um not that my dad is perfect, but far far from perfect, but he's there. And I think that's the most, we will be wrong, but at least we are there.
If there are parents watching this, a father or a mother watching this, and they are dealing with kids on maybe an autistic on the spectrum of autism, or like in your own case, what would you say to them? What word of encouragement will you give to them?
Hmm. Do you want to go first?
I already answered this.
Yeah. Um, what would I say to them? Maybe that they are only, maybe to treasure these first few years. They're very important, considering how long we live. it's only a few years that um you give yourself over to them, and it can make such a difference, especially when they're like up until 10 years old, that they really need you. Um, and I think to be humble, to be open to learn, deconstruct yourself as many times necessary to be better, to adapt, because everyone, like, you don't have a Leo, you don't have a Maya, and I don't have a Zayn. We all need to learn to be what our kids will need. Um, but it's a very beautiful process. I wouldn't change having the kids, even at such a young age, for anything else. Um, and just to never be discouraged, because it is a very beautiful process. I think when we see, it's rewarding, especially with kids who have disabilities and who you are told, they won't breastfeed, they will not walk on time, they will not talk, and then you see your child going and doing these things, or I don't know, they bring a lot of purpose, I think.
I think I said there is hope for us as parents and for them as parents and possibly child itself, because we have these expectations in the world that we need to do this a certain time. We need to, he should be walking by now, or he should be reading by now, you know? And it's like it's on, this pressure. And we start comparing your child with someone else's child.
Yeah.
And when you liberate yourself with that mentality, it's so much easier and so much um chill to actually enjoy and have this beautiful relationship with this child that is different. And I always say that they're mentors to us. This little person, it's a mentor, and without talking and without giving a speech, this child teaches you many things.
Yeah.
And if you were to ask me, and I think Mari is with me in this, would you rather not having Leo or having Leo? We would say we want Leo, in our lives. And again.
And I have heard about praying so that he didn't have Down syndrome, so that he didn't have the extra chromosome, but then it wouldn't be Leo. It wouldn't, I could not, it wouldn't be him. And I think it's thinking from the perspective that we are not from this world, that I mean, if you look at the point of view that you can leave having learned something, that there is a journey you're supposed to go through. Nothing is acaso. How would you say acaso? I feel things are made by design. Everything is perfect.
Nothing is without a purpose.
Yes, nothing is without a purpose. When you learn to see things that way, uh, everything is a source of learning and growing. The kids we have, the personalities they have. I mean, why do I have to learn this? Sometimes you look at your child and it's exactly like you. Well, okay, what do you want to teach me here? um, yeah, I think it's one of the, like, optimal life experiences as a human that you can have, is learning through motherhood, through fatherhood.
Okay, so to end, we should end with a short prayer. So in the last episode, Danny prayed for us. So this time around, you pray for us.
Okay. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for Calvin for organizing this podcast. I hope it reaches those that you want to speak to. I pray for parents of children who are maybe young and are disheartened or discouraged, parents of kids with disabilities that I pray that they may be strong, that they may believe what your word says that their kids will be, and not medical diagnosis or stereotypes or labels. Because the kids you give us are so much bigger than any label that society could impose on them. And may we be flexible, may we be eager to learn more from you on how to parent our kids, and may we also enjoy this journey that you have presented us with. In Jesus' name, amen.